Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday the 29th. We're all gathering this time to do this morning chanting to show our respect and veneration to the Buddha for his kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings. And we are very fortunate to have this opportunity to be born and have this opportunity to learn and practice the Dhamma despite the 2,500 years later after Buddha's passed away. So the after tomorrow is full moon of a Vesak, the day when the Buddha was born, enlightened and passing away. As a result, it's been a couple of days that I've been telling the stories of the Buddha. So similarly, today I'll continue from what I have left last night. So last night I was explaining that the Buddha was born in Lumbini, current day Nepal. And went back to the Kapilavastu in the request of the King Suddhodana. The people rejoiced and were very happy, sprinkling the flowers all the street, and all the street were decorated to welcome the new prince. And after that, predictions from selected 8 renowned Brahmins that the Buddha, the prince, either to be the emperor or the leader of a religious group. And Venerable the Kondanya, one of the youngest, said that he will be the Buddha. And the reasons of being the Buddha, he explained that if he sees the 4 signs, the old age, sickness, death, and the anesthetic, which is the reason why he was given the homeschooling. So his father, King Suddhodana, invited teachers and taught all the knowledge and skills inside the palace gate. Very occasionally he had a chance to go out, and it happened that on one occasion, annual event of a plowing ceremony, he was taken as well. As the king and other people engaged in the plowing ceremony, the Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, he was sitting and meditating under the rose apple tree. And it happened that he was experimenting what he had learned from the teachers. So according to the scripture says that he was observing the breath coming in and going out, practicing this breathing meditation. Despite he was still young, his mind was so focused on the breath, the breathing in and breathing out. And he attained a deep absorption, so-called the jhana, and is still meditating, whereas other people, along with his father, entertaining and enjoying the ploughing ceremony. So the breathing meditation has so powerful that as the afternoon wore on, so according to the scripture says that instead of moving with the sun, the shade of the apple tree, the rose apple tree, remained in the same position, as if it were midday. So the shadow of the tree didn't move. And that's the power of the jhanas. Once you have attained the jhanas, there is a certain qualities can develop. So probably that is the reason the tree's shadow didn't move, just giving the shade to the Prince Siddhartha. And this actually created an amazing sight for everyone who attended the ceremony. Everyone came and looked at this amazing sight. And it was reported to the king, Suddhodana. When he came to witness this miraculous event of a prince sitting meditating and the rose apple tree's shade remained providing a shade to him, the king Suddhodana bowed down to his own son for the second time, out of a respect. And that was another amazing story. Some cartoonists even created that during that time the prince even contemplated on the theory of Paticcasamuppada, that we are dependent, we are interdependent, like the birds eating, the people plowing the field, insect coming out, the birds eating the insects, and insect eaten by the birds eating insect, and the birds again as they fly away then eaten by the eagles, and then eagles were again hit by the arrow and came down, and like that in a circle. And this is just a cartoon version of explaining his expansion of knowledge during that time. During that time, there are other stories of a Buddha, the prince helping a swan releasing the swan, and having seen his kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings, and didn't like much fighting or uh, anything that causes harm to oneself or others. He always avoids, and he likes to be staying alone. His father, Suddhodana, was worried, and as a result he wanted Prince to get married, hoping that he will change his mind. In the meantime, his father, being the king, he had this dream that his son will become the greatest emperor as it was prophesied. So the king Suddhodana nurtured Prince Siddhartha exceptionally well and built him different palaces to entertain him with musicians and delicious foods, and young musicians were there. And despite of that, different palaces for different seasons, and those palaces were decorated appropriately in order to be the residence for the prince. The king noticed that he only secludes himself and meditate and reflect and contemplate on the nature. So, as the prince became older, when he was reached 16 years old, then the king Suddhodana organized to marry Prince Yasodhara. Sometimes she's also known as the Bimba, who was the daughter of a King Supabuddha, and Amita, his aunt. The story goes on that due to the fame of the prince as the prince who doesn't like much activities of royal activities like a killing or hunting and so on, the King Supabuddha had a doubt that he would be able to look after the Prince Yasodhara, so there was a competition took place. But somehow Buddha, the Prince Siddhartha, Buddha to be, managed to win the heart, win the game, and got married with the Yasodhara. So after this marriage, King Suddhodana thought that now he will be staying in the palace and he will crown him as a crown prince who in line to the king of Kapilavastu. So the prince continued to indulge himself in the worldly pleasures day and night, and until he was 29 years old, Princess Yasodhara gave birth to a Rahula. And this is again according to the story that he was not satisfied with this birth. As a result, he thought that this is a bondage. Having a child is a bondage, he thought. That's why given the name Rahula. So it suggests that after his birth, the Prince Siddhartha wasn't happy. And he had this mind of giving up the royal life and become a monk. According to the stories, it suggests that he went out with the royal permission to visit the villages and the towns, and then somehow he saw an old man and a sick man, and a dead man, and then he also saw a homeless monk. So according to the story, says that these first three signs actually terrorized his mind, seeing the reality of the life. He was shocked to see that people have to get old, sick, and die. When he was informed that he is also not free from it, so he felt very sad, and he questioned himself, there must be a way out. And then the fourth sign, seeing a holy man or a homeless man, homeless monk, then they actually gave him some comforts and thought of renunciating the palace life. So while he was entertaining of the thought of giving up the palace life and become a monk, and wandering in the garden, that was the moment he was informed that he got a boy. So when he heard the news of his son's birth, he realized that aging, sickness, and death are consequences of the birth. So if there is no birth, then there is no sickness, aging and sickness and death. So hence the reason his son's name became Rahula, as a bondage. He then made the immediate decision to renounce the world. So he left on that very night of his son's birth. When the night fell, Prince Siddhartha got on his horse Kantaka and rode with his attendant Channa until they arrived at the river Anoma, where he dismounted from his horse and ordered the Channa to return to the palace with his horse and all the ornaments. At the river bank, he cut his hair with his dagger. According to the legend, it says that the Katikara Brahman delivered his robe and alms bowl to him. So the celestial being came and offered the bowl and the robe to him. And Prince Siddhartha put on that robe, and with a great determination, he resolved to become an ascetic at the Anoma river bank. So he, from here on, known as the ascetic Siddhartha, from royal family or royal prince to the royal beggar, an ascetic. But he was happy. And he went on in a search of the truth. He's now known as the seekers of the truth. He left the princely life, which normally we all desire to have, such privileged life, comfortable life. Having tested for 29 years, lived life as a monk, as a prince for the 29 years, he had found that this is not the way leading to the freedom. We are simply bound to be reborn, and things that we are doing again are bound to be reborn again, creating more sufferings for coming lives to come. So as a result, he realized that this life as a prince cannot overcome getting old, sickness and a death. But somehow when he saw a monk, then he felt that this monk has something, and that's how he decided to renounce the world. And he renounced so-called the Mahavinisakramana on the night. So he left on the night of his own son's birth. He left the palace. And after 6 years of traveling and studying with the different teachers, eventually at the age of 35, he would become the Buddha. So I stop here at the going forth towards the great renunciation, and we'll continue next time. So with this in mind, let's do the chanting.